Alrighty, and wow. A couple of days ago when I watched the Quakes take on the Vancouver Whitecaps and how the Quakes were by far the better team for the majority of the game and end up walking away with a 2-1 win, and knowing the Vancouver Whitecaps have also been struggling in the league in the first couple of games, I don't think anybody would have thought that this was going to be the result after this game. And I will say this, yes, I know some people will say, well, it's Real Espana. Yeah, it's a team that, from what I heard, is struggling in the league. But, we said the same thing about Violeta yesterday between Austin, and look what happened in that match. And that, in some way, I feel like this was kind of the reverse of what we saw in the Violeta versus Austin game, where you thought that maybe the MLS team was going to be a little bit of the underdog, and yeah, they put on an ass whip, being to a point where this could have been a lot worse than the 5-0 scoreline that indicated. And I think the other thing that was kind of ironic about this game is that the Whitecaps didn't actually get off to a good start in this one, because in the first minute, Velota would hit it high from close range before Takiaka had to come up with a save to deny Velota from close range. And like I said, it was not a great start for the Whitecaps. It looked like this was going to be one of those day again for them, and Real Espana was just all over them early in this one. Takioka then denied Benitez, and then a scrambler pursue as the Whitecaps just about clearing their lines. And then Gall had the first opportunity for the Whitecaps in the 12th minute, but he puts it over from close range before he hits one straight to Lopez. And little do we know that that's when the game kind of start to change, because the Whitecaps were finally starting getting into this game after a slow start into this one. And they were rewarded by that by scoring the opening goal of the game. It's Tristan Blackman scoring from Gresso and Vite to give the Whitecaps a 1-0 lead. A lovely work corner there for the Whitecaps there, which Blackman was able to head it in. And then Gall looked to try to score a second one, but he fires one wide from close range before Vite should have made it 2-0. I mean, this was an absolute sitter from 4 yards out there. And I know at the end of the day, he'll probably won't be thinking about it that chances with the way that the score line is, but I think in terms of just a goal scoring perspective, he'll probably think about that one and want that one back with the way that should be put away from about 4 yards out like that. But there was no doubt that the Whitecaps have took complete control of this game ever since they went up 1-0. Lopez then denied Dahome from close range before Dahome puts it high from close range, as the shots were 9-5 in favor of the Vancouver Whitecaps, and it would get more lopsided as the second half goes along. But we do head to halftime. Despite the Whitecaps have some chances, it's still only a 1-0 game. In the second half, Lopez denied Gall from close range before he denied Cordova from close, as the Whitecaps once again press early to get that second goal. Blackman trying to score his second, but he hits one that actually hit a couple of bodies there. There was a couple of bodies that was on the ground, and somehow that one just trickled wide. I mean, I thought it might have took a deflection that just trickled in. But then on the other end, Vieira would hit one straight to Takioka, and I think that was just a reminder to the Whitecaps that, yeah, this game is not over yet. I mean, it's still only 1-0. They can't just give up chances. And knowing the fact that, Whitecaps fans have seen this before in this season, where a team that has a lot of chances, they don't get that killer second goal, and next thing you know, their opponent score a goal, and it's basically like, here we go again for this team. But thankfully for them, that didn't happen, because as soon as I wrote that, it seems like maybe the Whitecaps read what I wrote, because, like I said, 1 minute later, they would make it 2-0. It's Ryan Raposo scoring from goal to make it 2-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. I think Raposo might have won a starting spot after this game, because he was absolutely amazing in this one. And then in the 64th minute, Garcia unfortunately scored an own goal there to make it 3-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. And just to confirm, it's not as bad as what we saw with Armar Tarek here. I mean, this was just one that was delivered in the box that, unfortunately Garcia kind of tried to clear that. Well, not really clear it away, but trying to stab that one away, but instead puts it into his own goal. But yeah, it was 3-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. The floodgate was completely blown open. Gresso would then head to wide from close range before in the 70th minute, Vancouver will make it 4-0. It's Pedro Vite. He redeemed himself after that bad miss that he had in the first half from goal to make it 4-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. The Whitecap supporters were doing the Nashville chants of "It's all your fault," and it's kind of interesting the fact that Nashville basically chant that because their hockey team, the Predators, kind of start the "It's all your fault" kind of chant, and it's kind of interesting that how we see a hockey chant kind of now come into a soccer chant. And I feel like it kind of makes sense because, just listening to that chant of how Predators fans basically chant whenever they score a goal, they basically chant the goalkeeper, "He sucks," and "It's all your fault." I feel like they could do the same thing in soccer, and it's not a big surprise Nashville basically did it, but now it seems like Vancouver fans were copying into in this one. Then White just couldn't quite hit one from close range. I mean, it's not a big surprise because Brian White has been snake bitten lately. But that being said, after I wrote where it's no mercy shown by the Whitecaps as they were going for number 5 and they would get the 5th goal, and in the 77th minute, it's Brian White. As I said, he was snake bitten, but then he finally broke through here. And he scored here from Repulso to make it 5-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. It was a great finish there from Brian White, too. I mean, just judging by the goal that he scored, you would have never guessed that this guy has been kind of snake bitten and just haven't been able to find the ball in the back of net. But little did we know that maybe that was just kind of an outlier because, as I mentioned, the shots were 23-8 in favor of the Whitecaps, and there was a shout for a penalty from Real Espana that was not given. In the 83rd minute, White missed a big opportunity from close range he hits this one wide from close range before Lopez actually denied Tiber, but the rebound fall kindly to Brian White, and he had an empty net to shoot. But like I said, because besides that one good moment that he has, and he's basically still snake bitten, and he basically just whiffs on this one that goes right back into the hands of Lopez. But thankfully for the Whitecaps, that really didn't matter because in the end, the Whitecaps just put on an absolute thrashing that I don't think a lot of people saw coming. With them winning 5-0 against Real Espana. The shots in this one, 26 shots in this game compared to just 10 that Real Espana has. 11 shots on goal compared to 2 that Real Espana has. 5 shots that was off target compared to 8 that the Whitecaps had. 3 shots that was blocked compared to 7 that the Whitecaps had. And possession-wise, 54% possession compared to the 46% possession that the Whitecaps has, or that Real Espana has in this one. And yeah, this was probably the best performance I've seen the Whitecaps play, not only this season, but probably for a very, very long time. And again, I get it. Yes, it's Real Espana. It's a team that's not doing very well in the Honduran league, but again, we said the same thing about Violeta, and look what happened in that one. And that now I feel like for Vanni Sartini, I think they do have the rights to maybe rest some of their starters, because you would think 5-0 should be enough, right? 5-0 should be enough in terms of heading into the second leg, and that even if they do lose that game, I mean, it's gonna take something just incredibly crazy. And I know in CCL we have seen some of the most unthinkable thing happen in this competition, but I mean, surely 5 goals should be enough for them to move on into the next round. But I think the other thing I will also say about the Whitecaps after this game is that this not only is good for them to move on to the next round, but this is a confidence booster that they desperately needed in this early part of the season. I mean, I mentioned yesterday about Austin and how there has to be a lot of concern, not just with the resort itself, but the fact that the lack of depth could be something that could really kill them down the line as the season goes along. Well, in this case for the Whitecaps, it's kind of the opposite. This is something that they desperately needed to try to turn around of what just have been an abysmal start to the season again, and we'll see whether if they can transition that heading into the next late game. Like, you hope that this is maybe just a game where they play well and they won't suffer a bit of a letdown the next one, but for Whitecaps, and they're probably thinking about that, knowing the fact that some of them maybe being a little bit pessimistic. But in an optimistic point of view, hopefully this is going to be a beginning of something good for this team and for Vanni Sartini team to really get this season going in terms of league plays too. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of the review of this game. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of this game, and we still have one more game in the round of 16 of the first leg in this year edition of the CONCACAF Champions League. It's LAFC versus Alajuelense in tomorrow's match, and that should be a very interesting one because, you know, LAFC, I have mentioned before that they are one of the favorites in this tournament, and it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to do going on the road to play against a team like Alajuelense, who is considered one of the better team in Costa Rica. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.